So I made a quick preliminary idea of what the clubhouse could look like based on the original layout. There are a few tweaks. Maybe I talk about the program first. Based on the original layout, you start with a social area, the kitchen prep area, a long storeroom at the rear, changing room, and disabled toilet. Looking at the survey, I didn't see any requests for changing room, and I wonder if that can be just shared with the disabled toilet. Also, for the storeroom, from my understanding, again on the survey result, there was a storeroom at the rear for things like lawnmowers, and that would make sense for the access to be from the external rather than through the clubhouse. So that's the idea to have then, but the access from the front. So this is just a rough idea. The sizes are not accurate for the exterior because I didn't measure up the grounds. But basically when you come in, there's that lawn area which we'll keep. It would be nice to have a raised deck to keep it dry, tidy. It gives you a sense of place. And of course you need a ramp then. I'm not sure whether there's enough space, but you would be looking at, if you're raising it by 100 millimeters, you'd be looking at a ramp of 1.5 meters. So you could come in here, go to the toilet. This would be the disabled toilet, a larger storeroom. I'll just switch this off.
Oh, you maybe just missed this window on the right.
Yeah, you don't need that. So there are configurations for disabled toilet to be the other way around. It's slightly less nice to use, but it's still usable and compliant. And here there would be I think it's like a 2.5 meter square storage. So similar to what is existing, I think, on the site. I didn't measure that building by itself, but the sizing of it would be quite similar. And then bathroom going this orientation instead of this orientation, and then the similar size large social area where you have your kitchen net. One thought I did have, seeing how the clubhouse is used for storing all sorts of like bats and things, I think if you just had some wall storage, or like just keeping very simple setup where you have stuff to lean against and they don't fall over, you can have a much neater, tidier clubhouse and less of a trip hazard because people won't leave stuff lying around, hopefully.
So where's the door there actually?
Here. So of course doors are also in a way like design object, right? How much money you want to spend on it is you can spend as much money as you want, but it would be so nice if you had more light. Instead of smaller windows, you just have a big window with a integrated door that you look out to the court. And then on the other side, this is also optional, you could just have ribbon windows in the rear, like I was talking about earlier. So this would maybe not for the storeroom, but for the toilet, that would be nice too, to have natural light and ventilation if it's operable. But this one actually, you don't need it to be operable at all, just have it fixed, just for light and view. So height wise, when you're in there, because I did this as a mono pitch rather than a typical pitch, double pitch or equal pitch, because I thought of, I think having the covered veranda was a good idea. I had that thought too, and then I saw in the survey that I think something like 40% of the participants also thought it's nice to have a covered veranda. And then having some kind of just a simple bench seat built, supports. So you could sit out here, you could sit here facing out. If you're having a social thing, you could be, barbecue, people can sit around these edges too. Or come out onto the lawn. And that's where you'd have your nice custom engraved logo of your Celtic knot. Cardinham Sports Club. Sponsored by I don't know who.
What do you? All right. So, is it worth showing the the cheapest things you found online on a browser and then estimating how much that would cost?
Well, I haven't found something of this similar footprint, but like
Just
other
there was an
buildings.
email, but I just can't find it.
Yeah, there are all these basically they are outdoor cabins, outdoor summer houses, garages, but I haven't found one of a exact footprint because they tend to be, if they're 3 meters wide, they tend to be quite short. Like 6 was the biggest, most similar, 6 by 3, which is too small. Unless you have a separate building for your toilet or something, then I don't know, kind of like defeats the purpose. But those were going for, if they're uninsulated, they're only a few £1,000. But yeah, there are forms that you can fill online for like a quick quote for steel buildings, those that do agricultural buildings, because they just generally want to know your size. They could probably give you a quite accurate quote. Of course, this would not include, all the fitting in stuff that you want, your kitchen cabinets. The toilet. The toilet would be kind of the more complicated work, I guess, that you would need a licensed plumber to
do.
Obviously do it, and electrics. But you could get a basic shell, and if there are people within the community who are very handy anyway, a lot of the stuff could actually be put together yourselves, I think.
So if you were building this yourself without the wooden shed kit thing, would you just use breeze block, or how would you do the roof and things like that?
You can just give these to a timber frame builder, like our neighbor did, Baker did. So he came out with a design, and then there are a few, I think, firms, companies around in Cornwall too, like they wrote to us too. They can basically design a timber frame system.
Oh, so that would be a timber frame.
I would imagine timber frame would be probably cheaper and faster.
And the walls would be
timber frame.
Okay, so the whole thing would be timber frame.
Like currently it is timber frame.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it would be, of course, last longer if you use breeze block.
If you wanted to get this initial design further quoted, could you just forward it to some people?
Yeah, I think just having this dimension and being sent to these timber frame suppliers.
Yeah, maybe it's worthwhile doing that.
Yeah, should be quite easy, because I think structurally it's not big. Okay. And then there are divisions that you can have all your columns anyway.
Cool.
Yeah, so you could just give the dimensions of these two timber frame companies.
So we can forward this video. But that's just
the frame.
We could forward this video, perhaps, right?
No, they just want to know the size.
Okay, all right. What about the pitch and everything? How would they get an idea for that?
I think I just made it as a 10-degree pitch, which is typical of agricultural buildings.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the higher the pitch, the more building material you need, because it would be higher on one side, and then you have it more material.
I do like the idea of having a wall with like sponsors and plaques, like that Kernau, that maze.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big struggle that we're going to have here, is getting the money together. If we can properly credit the people that ponied up some money.
Or, give you, sizable discounts on the building materials. And maybe it's even worthwhile, pursuing, I don't know, what other kind of building material sponsors. Local players.
The concrete slab is going to be, I mean, the court resurfacing is a priority. And then the, I mean, I saw old pictures of them pouring concrete. Do you think you can build concrete over concrete, or do you think it has to be completely dug out?
I don't know what the original, there must be, the original foundation. I mean, it's a very small and light building, so it's not like you're going to have a lot of weight, especially if you're using a timber frame building.
So do you think they can kind of build on top of the existing thing?
Don't know, potentially, don't know. I mean, you want, realistically, you won't just pour on top. If you didn't want to dig it all up, I think there are some kind of I'm not a structural engineer, but basically you would have to kind of create better contact between the old concrete and the new concrete. So I think what they do is they drill or they cut out sections of the old concrete and then you lay the new concrete.
Right.
But I'm not super sure, and I don't even know whether that's compliant in this country. But yeah, you know, you might have to put ties between the old structure and the new.
So be clear, that's not a window. That's like a plaque or something. That's the logo.
Logo.
Oh yeah, we should have maybe shown what the logo is. The one on the ladder board. Is this a fence, or you just drew that?
Yeah, that's I think the approximate boundary of where the
because the
fence is.
storeroom might, well.
I don't know. Yeah, it depends on the current. I don't know how. I didn't measure that.
I do like the windows. And I guess windows are going to be the expensive thing, right?
Insulation too, I think. If you're having insulated, which you probably want to.
Yeah, this definitely seems a place, better place.
And if you had, you know, lots of sponsorship money, you want your really like sports style, the name of your club on the top.
I'm not sure about that. I think it's more tasteful just to have it on that sidewall. And it's plenty. What do you call it?
How high are those?
It's plenty visible. Well, there's probably a better word for it.
With your...
You know, it doesn't need to be a billboard. I like to think that Cardinham. It could have a bit more of a sleeker, tasteful type of approach to it.
Not like Wimbledon, brash and...
The Wimbledon's a bit brash. Okay, cool. Let's stop the recording and forward it to the other committee. Hopefully they find it fun.
How do I stop this?